Hello, and welcome to the second week of the Evelyn Taylor Majure's Black American Women Innovators series. This week, we will profile the iconic Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. She was known as the First Lady of the struggle. There were no obstacles she would not overcome to make inroads for Black America. Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune was simply stellar. Mary McLeod was born July 10, 1875, in Maysville, South Carolina. Mary's father and mother, Samuel and Patsy McLeod, were former slaves. Living and raising 17 children during South Carolina's Reconstruction years, 1865 through 1877, were not that much better. The Black Code laws and the apprenticeship programs had Mary working in the cotton fields at the age of 5. The McLeods wanted their family self-sustaining and worked hard to buy their own cotton farm. Mary was working on the family farm by the time she was 9 years old. Education was very important to the McLeod family. Mary's parents supported her interest in learning. They let her attend the Trinity Mission School. It was a one-room schoolhouse used by the Presbyterian freemen to educate black children. There, her love of education and the deep belief that through learning, Black America would fight its way into equity and fairness started to take shape. She taught her family everything she studied at the mission school. Dr. Bethune's mission statement was, "If we have the courage and the tenacity of our forefathers who stood firmly like a rock against the lashes of slavery, we shall find a way to do for our day what they did for theirs." After Trinity Mission School, Mary won a scholarship to the Scotia Seminary School in Concord, North Carolina. She studied there from 1888 until 1893. Dr. Bethune's hopes of becoming an African missionary after completing Dwight L. Moody's Institute for Home and Foreign Missions were disappointed. Learning she would not be needed to do missionary work in Africa, she started her teaching career. Mary Bethune taught for a short period at the Trinity Mission School in Sumter, South Carolina. Her greatest influence was Lucy Craft Laney. In 1896, she started teaching at Hinds Normal and Industrial Institute. It was founded and ran by Lucy Craft Laney. Bethune used Laney as a role model for educating girls and young women. Believing that it was important that women should have a positive role in the Black American community, Dr. Bethune said, "I believe that the greatest hope for the development of my race lies in training our women thoroughly and practically." Bethune was determined to open her own school for girls. In October of 1904, in Daytona, Florida, she paid $11 a month for a small house. Mary was very industrious in fixing it up. She used discarded crates to make school furniture. With only $1.50, Mary started the Educational and Industrial Training School for Negro girls. Bethune's outreach efforts paid off. Black and white advocacy groups helped her school become a success. Like most private schools, tuition was never enough to cover all of the cost. Mary's friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt opened many doors. In 1931, Mary McLeod Bethune merged her school with Cookman's Institute for Boys. The Bethune-Cookman College, a co-educational junior college. By 1941, that school had developed into a 4-year curriculum and achieved full college status. She became a member of a very select group of women, a woman president of a college or university. Her fundraising took her into the administrations of 4 U.S. presidents. Bethune opened many doors for black bureaucrats, being responsible for employment opportunities as well as educational gains for the black community. Black America was always the most important aspect of her work in Washington, D.C. The National Youth Administration was a federal agency created under the administration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Works Progress Administration. The NYA provided employment opportunities for young people, focusing on young people between the ages of 16 and 25 who were not in school. Mary Bethune worked hard to get support for black American youth in the NYA and earned a staff position in the administration. By 1938, Mary Bethune was appointed to the position of Director of the Division of Negro Affairs. Dr. Bethune was the first black American female to head a federal division. Bethune's grit and tenacity improved employment opportunities for over 300,000 black young men and women, providing jobs and educations through the NYA. The majority of these young people opened doors to employment opportunities that had been closed to the black community. Mary was very adept at using her friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt to get President Roosevelt's support for black America communities. Mary formed a partnership of leaders from prominent black concern groups into the Federal Council of Negro Affairs. She brought together black bureaucrats. They were known as the Black Cabinet. The Black Cabinet's influence was very important in political appointments and the dispensation of giving funds to organizations that would benefit black people. Bethune co-founded the United Negro College Fund on April 25, 1944, with William Trent and Tuskegee University President Frederick Douglass Patterson. The program gives many types of scholarships, mentorships, and job opportunities to black Americans and minority students attending historically black colleges and universities. By 1964, the UNCF had raised over $50 million. Mrs. Bethune was very invested in rights for black American women, becoming president of the Florida chapter of the National Association of Colored Women. She worked to register black voters in Florida facing racist state voting requirements and threats by the Ku Klux Klan. She was elected national president of the Association of Colored Women in 1924. Mrs. Bethune led the NACW to be the first black-controlled organization with headquarters in Washington, D.C. The Southern Association of Colored Women's Clubs elected Bethune president after its conference in 1920. The clubs were meant to gain the support of Southern white women in a unity cause concerning rights for black women. Black suffrage was a reason for contention by the Southern white women. The SACWC published a pamphlet called Negro Women and Race Cooperation. The pamphlet stated their demands and the reasons for them. The Southern white groups went on to help register black women to vote after the 19th Amendment was passed. Mary McLeod Bethune died on May 18, 1955. You can find out more about Dr. Bethune at jhlibrary.org. If you would like a copy of this narrative, contact Carolyn A. Dixon at cdixon@jhlibrary.org. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.